Hi, I'm Joe Fielder. I'm the site director of GameSpot. I'm here today to talk to you about Konami's Silent Hill 2 for the PlayStation 2. Capcom's Resident Evil series had been for years the uncontested king of horror video games until Silent Hill came along. The game really focused on having an extremely creepy atmosphere, kind of like a mix of David Lynch's Twin Peaks and a Marilyn Manson video, while Resident Evil kind of focused more on boo type scares. The original game really built up your need to know what was the mystery behind this New England town gone hellishly wrong, up until the point where you just totally needed to know what was the answer, what was the revelation in the end. And that said, it had a seriously anticlimactic ending. And on top of that, one that you had to play through several times in order to find out everything that was going on. Hopes have been high that the game's PlayStation 2 sequel would improve on the storyline as well as improving on the graphics. I think everyone's kind of expected that the series jumping to a next generation platform, the graphics would have a significant jump as well. And that's true. The storyline, it succeeds in making more sense in the end, but it also kind of loses a little bit of the appeal that the original had somewhere along the way. Silent Hill 2 really has almost nothing to do with the original Silent Hill. There's a completely new cast of characters. You have to forget everything you knew about Silent Hill. Other than that, it's one hell of a foggy town, and there are creatures out of the mist. You play as James Sunderland, a man who's come to town because he's gotten a letter from his dead wife asking to meet her there. So you come to town, and almost immediately you realize that something's horribly wrong. All the people that you bump into are mentally unbalanced, and soon creatures start coming in out of the mist. Like the original, you soon are armed with a board with a nail in it and a radio that emits static whenever creatures are nearby, and you go off to try to solve the mysteries behind what's going on in the town. Most of your time in Silent Hill 2 is spent solving puzzles. Some puzzles are pretty straightforward, where you have to collect and combine certain items. Others require you to scan over documents and notes that you find throughout the game for certain numbers for combination style puzzles, and others are just require you to figure them out. The puzzles are pretty well done. They're just tough enough to require you to think about them, but not so hard that they're going to send you online looking for strategy guides, facts, walkthroughs, things like that. The game's monsters rarely present too much of a threat to you. You can find a lot of ammunition throughout the game. You can also find a lot of medical kits, and monsters often come into view pretty far away, so you can dispatch them before they get too close. When you're walking indoors, you really have to clear them out in order to get around, but if you're outside, they move slow enough where you can just dodge them. Suffice to say, the combat isn't really challenging. The few encounters in the game that resemble boss fights will be easy work for anybody who's ever played a Resident Evil game. The best aspects of Silent Hill 2 are the game's graphics and sound. The monsters in the game look fantastic. They're really well designed. Many, if not all of them, are disturbing on a kind of subconscious level, sometimes even kind of having sexual overtones. So the game's definitely not for kids, though it definitely has been edited a bit from earlier versions that we've seen in the game. The creatures in Silent Hill 2 sound about as scary as they look, and also the soundtrack is pretty unnerving as well. It's sparse at times, but then it builds up in key moments. It's really atmospheric. Silent Hill 2 offers up two different kinds of control settings. The default is more like Resident Evil, and the second setting is what they call 2D mode, and that's more like Onimusha, where you can just move your character in a certain direction. Besides that, there are also different settings for monster difficulty and puzzle difficulty. If you set the monster difficulty to beginner, you could walk away from a fight with two monsters for 15 minutes, come back, and you'll still be alive. The other settings, if you want to set them to harder difficulties, that might be a little more challenging for die-hard survival horror fans. In the end, the game's storyline makes more sense than that in the original, but the sequel never really builds up that feeling that, hey, you really need to know what's going on. It doesn't have that sort of revelatory sort of feeling to it. In the end, you can kind of, piece together what's happened, kind of, if you've ever watched Twin Peaks, it gives you those sort of clues, but it's not the sort of need to know that you felt in the original Silent Hill. One thing that people who are looking for scares out of Silent Hill 2 should know is that it is creepier than the original game, but it's not scarier. The original game had, I remember in one part, it had this half-man, half-dog thing that would chase you through the mist, and it would have this bark that would just set the hair on the back of your neck up. Silent Hill 2 doesn't really have any sort of creatures that do that. You don't really get chased throughout the game. It is the scares are are more in the atmosphere. It's definitely creepier. It's kind of disturbing at times, which is certainly an accomplishment for a game. But it just doesn't have that sort of fright that you get out of the original Silent Hill. That said, the puzzles are well done, the game looks and sounds great, and there's little or to no backtracking involved. It's a complaint that you find in a lot of survival horror games. There's definitely a give and take. The game is a prettier, somewhat smarter version of the original Silent Hill, but it's just a little less compelling. Those who expected that Silent Hill 2 would improve on every single aspect of the game will be a little disappointed, but that still leaves you with a pretty sturdy game.